Hey, did you press record, Ms. Smith? Okay. Well, everybody, good afternoon. Sorry to give you a heart attack, but I did my inquiry on the wonderful world of paintball for quite a while. Me and my friends have really been into paintball and all this stuff, and we kind of had a interest in what I spend my money on. So my question is, does price reflect product? Who goes out here and says, okay, well, brand X, this is $32, brand A, this is $12. I'm going to go with brand X because it's more expensive, it should be better. Like, I mean, girls, I'm sorry, I mean to pick, but maybe makeup. Hair products, I mean, you're not going to go out and buy, let's get Dollar General brand versus Chic. That's a good brand. I don't even know if it's a brand, I'm just saying. So, for that, I was curious as to, am I spending money wisely? Because I'm the type one. You can ask my girlfriend, I do not spend money. So my null hypothesis is price does not reflect quality, but I expect that it does. So, basic introduction. Who here knows somebody who plays paintball or has played paintball? Not a lot. I was kind of hoping for less, actually. I'm just going to do I'm going to do a basic introduction to paintball. There's two different basic kinds, speedball and woods ball. Drastic difference, as you can tell, just in the way they're closed. Speedball. She didn't see people. Oh yeah, see, there we go. They're supposed to blend in. Speedball, there's really two main types, and there's a whole lot of rules. There's specific ways that you can have teams set up. There's specific time trials. There's specific balls, specific clothes, specific guns, everything. But when you get into wood ball, you can do anything. You can do scenery, you can do capture the flag, you could do one bust out, or you can do, heck, let's just shoot one another. We'll go to the ground to air balls. And that's always fun. But there's a really big difference in the clothing. When you're on teams, you want to collaborate in clothes because you have to shoot someone's on your team just because you don't know with their clothing, which is kind of something you run into when you get into woods ball. People are dressed to blend in, so yeah, you might shoot your friend, but hopefully no hard fails. But there's really important stuff that you got to have to 101 if you want to start a paintball team. Of course, the main thing is, whoa, you can't really see those. I'm sorry, you can't see the font. But the main thing is the marker, or the paintball gun. Of course, you can't play paintball without a paintball gun. To power your gun, you have to have a CO2 tank, which there's different little ports that you can have different guns different ways. But you have to have CO2, and you have to have the paintballs, which go through the hopper. And the CO2 hits right here. As soon as the ball falls into the hopper, it shoots out. And you can change your velocity speed to different PSIs of what your tank can hold. For this experiment, left mine at roughly 75%, but normally I have mine at 90%. Because you really want to make sure your ball busts, because you hate to be wasting balls. But to me, the most important aspect when it comes to clothing-wise is your helmet and your goggles. Because one time I was hitting the goggles, and actually multiple times, I've been hitting the goggles before, and there's ventilations in the helmet because when you're running around and you get hot and sweaty, you got to breathe, and you hate to suffocate. So one time I was hit right in the goggles, and the ball exploded and went in through both ventilation areas. So I had pain right here and up my nose. It was bad. It tastes horrible too because paintballs are covered in fish oil. Oh, say no more. So to me, that's key room to, or the key part to protection. The next would be the gloves because I've been hitting the hands as well, and that is very painful, very painful. I never use chest protector just because I've got clothes on, I've got skin covers, so I really think, yeah. Overalls, I just wear pants. I don't get into overalls, but if you get serious, you can. But pretty much anything that can cover your skin, because I've been hitting the neck as well without cover, and from there on out, I use cover. So, to my presentation, to my procedures. As you can tell, duct tape can hold my house. I use duct tape. It was really windy Sunday when I did this experiment, so I had to find somewhere where no wind would affect my outcome. because it was kind of hit and go. So I couldn't be like, okay. So I had to find somewhere where there was, as possible, no wind whatsoever. So I set up 20 feet from one retaining wall, and I had the 3 boards for 3 brands. I encountered 4 brands, but I didn't have enough boards, so I had to do it kind of on Sunday and then bust into another day. But one thing that I did have to make sure was my level. I would hate to be shooting kind of like right here or sometimes right here, because it would all affect the velocity of the ball. So I wanted to make sure that I was level enough so each time my shot was consistent. And yeah, it was, anyways. The other part, I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see some colors. Yeah, you can see some colors. I wanted to pick brands that had different colors, so that way they would be really visible when it came to recording my data, so I wouldn't be recording different brands into the same area. So I shot within a 7-inch shot, and between my duct tape with a 7-inch shot. And each time I would shoot, I would go up to the board and use a permanent black marker and just make a dot. And if I was within 7 inches of that dot or 3-inch width from that dot, then I would consider it accurate. I was comparing accuracy and bust. If the ball would travel up above the duct tape or away more than 3 inches from that dot, then I would consider it inaccurate. And that took a lot of walking back and forth and all that stuff. But after the first brand that I compared, I volunteered my girlfriend to do the rest. So thank goodness to her. So these were my 4 brands, and they were from Dunham's and Walmart, because like I said earlier, I'm a cheapskate, so I don't want to get the big brands. But these were the best prices that I could find, and I was trying to keep them close to one another as possible, so I could really go back to the hypothesis of price does not reflect, price is reflecting quality. So for the first one, Cryptic, which is the brand that I typically use the most, because actually most often during the Christmas season they have them on sales because it's off season. So I'm not cheapskate. So they had a very good bust rate. If you go back to paintball, you consider bust. Whenever a person gets hit in the paintball bust, then they're considered out. So if the paintball doesn't bust, then that's not a good brand. So I had 100% bust, and with my accuracy, I had 85%. I had 17 out of the 20 was a bust. Reaction is one of the better off brands, and it showed to have really good bust rate of 100%, and the accuracy was bad. Actually, it was really bad. I had a lot of the balls went up and down. They didn't really go this way, or not really width, they went height-wise. It was a 55%, and I didn't like that at all, because I use reaction quite a bit. The next one was, I was really disappointed to see any of them not having a 100% bust rate. I would think that they should bust pretty easily. I mean, if I'm shooting at roughly, I think 70% with my PSI, then it should bust fairly easy, especially if I'm shooting up against a board and then a brick as the background. But still, I had 18 of the 20, which isn't horrible, but still, whenever you look into maybe shooting not just 20, maybe shooting 50, what would that be? And the accuracy was absolutely horrible. 3 out of 20, 15%. I mean, that was just really disappointing. And really reflects back to the Cryptic because of the price. They were about $40, but you get 70% difference in the accuracy. The JT brand was the last one, and it was the cheapest. And for a cheapskate, the JT would be the brand to go with. But it had 90% accuracy, or 90% bust and 75% accuracy. Now, there was a couple things that could affect that whenever you if you have balls that are sitting on the counter for longer than others, then some of the balls might go bad. Just sitting there, they can sometimes get stuck to one another, and when you have to peel them apart, some of the fish oil could come off and it wouldn't bust as well. Also, some of them have grooves and dents. Now, I was thinking originally that I would pick out the ones that I didn't think were kind of up to par, but whenever you're going into competition, you don't want to go through a box and be like picking out, I don't know, probably, normally a box comes with 2,000. And if you pick out 100 balls, then you're losing your money just because they've got some dents and grooves on it. So it doesn't really matter. you stick them all in there, and that's what I wanted to do, just straight like I was going to a competition. So, conclusion, what's it all mean? Price does not guarantee quality. Just because a brand is price high doesn't mean it's going to be the best, but that is just a paintball. That still does not reflect off to other products. We're the best. Actually the reaction said on the box, we're the best when it comes to paintball competitions. So that just we're the best doesn't mean anything. From my findings, the cryptic paintballs are the best from the compared group. And it takes trial and error to find anything. It doesn't matter what you're testing, trial and error will always bring up the best results. And I had a video of the fourth brand that I was comparing, but my computer crashed and I lost the video. I've got 2 of the 3 videos still because I backed up the file, but that one was missed. So I didn't get a chance to put it on there, but it was just fun. Always shooting paintballs to me is fun. But that is it. Does anybody have questions?
Without running any statistical tests on it, t-tests, that kind of thing, do you feel confident in your levels or not so confident in your levels?
I do. In speedball more than woodsball, because woodsball you have more of a distance between you, but in speedball you want to get as close as possible. So when it comes to that 20-foot difference, I would say that is fairly a strong representation. When I talked to Alman, because I was originally going to go with the t-test, and I said what I was comparing, and he just said, well, why don't you just get the averages and just compare that way? That should be much simpler. So I liked that just because it was simple. But when it goes back to the results, I do find it good.
How many competitions are you in a year?
Last summer I was in 7, I think.
And that's how much per competition?
Well, it depends on how many's in your group. We had 10, so it was $20 a piece. When it comes up to more people, it's less money, of course, per person.
You have to buy your own balls for that? Or
Sometimes they're sponsored. Sometimes, very rarely, though. Normally, what they do sponsor is the area. Because every time when the area gets to go to Dunn's, because they're the only place around this area.
That's expensive, huh?
I thought golf.
Did you say your entry fee is what?
Entry fee is $20 a person. It depends, though, on how many's in your team. There's 10 of us, it was $20 a person. But the paintballs can get very expensive. Because, I mean, in one competition, you're going through one box easily. Because if you get more serious about it, any of these, no. If you get more serious, you have containers going around your body that has pods in them, and pods carry up to 700 balls a pod. And if you're in the middle of a competition, you can just pop the hopper, pour the pod in there, and just go back at it. So you can go through, depending on how many games you play, you can go through 2,000 balls easily. Anything else?